Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah share. We are holding in Mishnah Berurah Chelik Daled and Mirz Hashem. Today we will be learning Daf Reish Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. We pick up today on Reish Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph with the new Siman Shin Samach Zayin Im Isha Yechayla La'arev, whether or not a wife is allowed to create an Erev on behalf of her husband or contribute to the Erev on behalf of her husband. Ubay Sif Echad, and here we have one Sif. Our learning today should be a schos for Achedu Kameis Yisrael, Hanesidim Batzar Bashivya, Haim Nebei Bayom Ubein Bayabasha, Hamakei Birachim Alehem, V'Yetziam Yitzar Lervacha Me'afelu La'Eiro Mishiba L'Geula, Hashta Bagala V'Zban Kariv and Emar Amen. Our learning should be a schos. Refuah Shalema for Meiri V'Rabbi Reb Shalom Ruven Ben Shima for Achi Agadol, Moshe Meir Ben Esther Fradel, Yitzchak Ben Tzim Ben Dusha, Rivka Bashir Leach, Havadasa Basrael Serel, Yeshua Levi Ben Ahuva Malkachano. They should all have a Refuah Shalema B'Seich Shar Chayla Yisrael, and our learning should be a schus for Yoel Ben Michal and for all those who all of our brothers and sisters who find themselves in harm's way. I was looking for that little paper that I had that had two other names on it, but I seem to have. Oh no, here it is. Hold on, 1 second. Fell on the floor. Moshe Aaron ben Zisel Udal and Ruven Yisrael ben Tamar, they should all be safe. The Rebbe Shalom should watch over all of them. Okay, so says the Mechaber here, Sif Aleph. Ishtoi shel Adam ma'arevesloi, a woman, a wife, can go ahead and contribute to the Erev on behalf of her husband, shaloi midaitoi, without his knowledge. Not only could she do it without her knowledge, without his knowledge, she can do it even if he has objected. He said, listen, if anybody comes knocking on the door for a contribution to the Erev, don't give. I don't want to give to the Erev. Still, she could go ahead and make a contribution to the Erev without his knowledge, even if he objected to her, and told her not to contribute to the Erev. And this is true even if he was never in the habit of contributing to the Erev. If it's a situation where he has to contribute to the Erev in order for the Erev to be a kosher Erev, if he asers on the rest of the Bnei HaChotzer, then I guess we're talking about a case where maybe this Chotzer never made an Erev before. And now for the first time, the Bnei HaChotzer are getting together to make an Erev, and for whatever it is, he doesn't want to be part of it. So he told his wife, look, don't give to the Erev. So still in all, even though he objected, he told her, I don't want you to give to the Erev. Even though he never gave to the Erev before, she could still go ahead and she could still make the contribution to the Erev. Fahani Mili, however, this is only true, Kisha Oiser Alehem, when it's a case where if he does not contribute to the Erev, he will aser on the other Bnei HaChotzer. Going, for example, She'ein Abayis Pasuach Ela La'isei Chotzer. Let's say this house opens up onto the Chotzer. He's one of the 21 units in the Chotzer. And if he doesn't contribute to the Chotzer, he's going to aser on the rest of the Bnei HaChotzer. So, opening halacha over here of Siman Shin Samach Zayin. If you have a case where there's a home in the Chotzer, and if that home does not contribute to the Erev, it's going to bring down the entire Erev, because now everybody else is going to contribute, he's not going to contribute, so now there's two entities in the Chotzer, you have no Riv Chatzeros. In such a case, the wife could go ahead and make a contribution to the Erev from the assets of the husband, without the husband's knowledge, and even against the husband's will. Says the Mishnah Berurah, this is based on the rule of Ishtoi Kegufai. The wife is considered one with the husband. Her contribution equals his contribution. Ve'kelu and Chazal wa mekel afilu kishemichaba, even when he objected and instructed her not to give to the Erev. Still, they were mekel, and they allowed the wife to go make the contribution. Why? Bisham shechoshishu Chazal shebi yiskave lahaknit es hadarim lesar aleim. Chazal were afraid that maybe this individual is being a dafganyak. He's going ahead to start a machlokes, and he is insisting on not contributing to the Erev. Now, it could be he's even playing for a mock. He's like, oh, I'm not masking to the Erev. I don't think it's good enough, whatever it is. I'm not giving to the Erev. He's making a machlokes. That's what he's doing. So Chazal said, you know what? His wife could go ahead. His wife could make the contribution even against his will. It's a beautiful lavush over here. The lavush points out, the lavush says, when Chazal made the takana of Eruve Chatzeros, they realized that they're, to a certain extent, opening up a can of worms. They realized that they're creating a situation where you have a chutzner with 21 houses in the chutzner, and now in order for it to be mutter, to be metaltal, from the houses to the chutzner, from the chutzner to the houses, from one house to the other, you're going to need the cooperation of everybody who lives in the chutzner. And Chazal realized that sometimes that might become problematic. Now, Chazal were not interested in creating a situation that's going to be ripe for machlokes. And therefore, they made a carve-out over here. And they said, look, this whole thing is a din d'Rabbanan, and it never was intended to create machlokes. So we're going to be makel as much as we can. And there's somebody over here who wants to be difficult. We're going to allow his wife to contribute on his behalf, even against his will. She's going to make the eruv for her husband. Points out the Mishnah Berurah, this means mishalai. She's actually using his assets, and she's allowed to do this. Gibel, when is this true, said the Mechaber? Kisha oiser alehem. This is true when he needs to contribute to the eruv. If not, he's going to aser the entire chotzer. That's when we have this kula. Now we go a little bit weiter. So that was halacha number 1. Now says the Mechaber like this, second line into the Siman near the end of the line. Aval, however, imu pasuach lishtei chatzeros. Let's say you have a house that has 2 doors. Maybe it has a front door and a side door. The front door opens up into Chotzer A. The side door of the house opens up into Chotzer B. So here we have a weird case. We have a case where a house actually opens up onto 2 different Chatzeros. Okay. Ba'achas ragil lotzeis v'lavai tadir. The homeowner, generally speaking, uses door number 1. Door number 1 opens up into Chotzer A. He very rarely uses door number 2 that opens into Chotzer B. He always uses door number 1 that opens up into Chotzer A. Now, in such a case, this home is considered to be one of the homes in the Chotzer, in Chotzer A. And if this home does not contribute to the eruv of Chotzer A, he's going to aser on the rest of the residents of Chotzer A. But since he doesn't really use door number 2 that goes to Chotzer B, he's not considered a resident of Chotzer B. And therefore, if he does not contribute to the eruv in Chotzer B, he's not going to aser on Chotzer B. So in this case, on Chotzer A, he asers. On Chotzer B, he does not aser. What's the halacha in such a case? Can the wife still make a contribution to the eruv against her husband's will or not? So let's see inside. Said the Mechaber. If the house opens up onto 2 different chatzeros, door number 1 to Chotzer A, he uses all the time. And therefore, if he doesn't contribute to the eruv chatzeros of Chotzer A, he's going to aser on all the residents of Chotzer A. But when it comes to door number 2 that goes to Chotzer B, he doesn't really use it. So in that case, beragil she'oiser Chotzer A that he's rugil to use, Chotzer A that he's considered one of the diurim of, because he always uses the door that goes to Chotzer A. So in that one, ma'areves shaloi l'daitoi. In that one, it's the same halacha as the first halacha of the Siman. Since he would aser on the other residents of Chotzer A, his wife could go ahead and make a contribution to the eruv chatzeros of Chotzer A without his knowledge or indeed even against his will. Afilu eina ragila arev, even if he never contributed to the eruv before, because they never made an eruv before. Ubisha eina ragila tzeis v'lavai nami, and even by door number 2 that goes to Chotzer B, where he doesn't aser on Chotzer B if he doesn't contribute. Even though if he doesn't contribute to the eruv of Chotzer B, he's not going to aser Chotzer B. If he has previously been in the habit of joining the eruv chatzeros of Chotzer B. Now, why would he join the eruv chatzeros of Chotzer B? Because it's true that he doesn't aser on Chotzer B. if he doesn't join the Erev. But if he wants to be able to transfer from his house to Chatzar B, or from Chatzar B to his house, or from his house to one of the other houses in Chatzar B, he still has to contribute to the Erev. So it's for his own benefit. It's not for the benefit of the Bnei HaChatzar of Chatzar B. It would only be for his own benefit. So says the Mechaber, in that case, where you have that he really, for the Bnei HaChatzar of Chatzar B, he doesn't have to contribute. But for himself, it would be good to contribute. So then, the Mechaber says, I lost the place here, I'm sorry. So, b'she'ena ragel lotzeis v'lavei nami, afa pishein oiser, im ragel ha'arev imahem, if he's been in the habit of joining the Eruv Chatzeres and Chatzar B, ma'arev shalayimit ladaitai. Then again, she could contribute to the Erev without his knowledge and even against his will. Avalim ena oiser, but let's say this Chatzar B, if he doesn't aser on Chatzar B, the gam ena ragel ha'arev imahem, and he never joined in the Erev, in the Eruv Chatzeres of Chatzar B before, then then she cannot contribute to the Erev of Chatzar B against his will. Without his knowledge, we're going to see he can, but against his will, he cannot. The Mechaber says it right now. If he didn't object straight out, okay, so we have over here so far, we just read through like a whole big paragraph here of Mechaber. Basically, we have three cases. The topic under discussion has been, can a wife contribute to the Eruv Chatzeros using her husband's assets without the knowledge of her husband, even against the husband's will? We discussed so far three cases. Case number one is a very typical case of Eruv Chatzeros. This house is one house in a Chatzar, and there's 21 units of the Chatzar. This is unit number 10. If unit number 10 does not contribute to the Eruv Chatzeros of this Chatzar, then there will be no Eruv Chatzeros. In that case, Chazal said the wife could contribute to the Eruv Chatzeros not only without her husband's knowledge, even against her husband's will. Her husband was kicking and screaming, I don't want to give to the Eruv Chatzeros. I heard they're collecting for an Eruv Chatzeros. The wife could go ahead and she could contribute to the Eruv Chatzeros against his will. That was case number one. Case number two, strange case. House opens up onto two different Chatzeros. Okay, if it's a situation where he always uses one door to one Chatzar, he basically never, or almost never, uses the other door that goes to the other Chatzar. Well, in that case, the Chatzar that he usually uses, same halacha as the first halacha. He would aser on that Chatzar. So, in that case, his wife could contribute to that Eruv Chatzeros without his knowledge, even against his will. The other Chatzar, well, then it depends. The other Chatzar, if he's ragil, if sometimes he contributes, if he's been in the habit of contributing to that Erev before, well, in that case, the Mechaber said that she could go ahead and she could contribute to the Erev of Chatzar B without his knowledge, even against his wishes, even though he doesn't ask her on Chatzar B. But since he has joined the Erev before, she could go ahead and she could do it. But if he doesn't aser on the other Chatzar, because generally speaking, he doesn't use the other Chatzar, and he's never been in the habit of using it before, then she could do it without his knowledge, but she can't do it without his will, against his will. Okay, let's see some Mishnah Berurahs over here. We need to do Mishnah Berurah Ois Katan Dalit. Beragil Sha'oiser. This is going back on the case of the house that opens up onto two Chatzeros. The Chatzar A that he generally uses, so he would aser on Chatzar A if he doesn't join their Erev. Kidal b'sibit shin pevav siftes ayin sham. Ois Katan Hey. In the other Chatzar, in Chatzar B, the Chatzar that he won't aser on, but if he's been in the habit of joining that Erev previously, then she could contribute to the Erev without his knowledge, even against his will. Even if he objected, she could still go ahead and she could still contribute to the Erev of Chatzar B. The reason is Darkei Shalom, because over here the Mishnah Berurah sees a need to explain it. Because remember, the homeowner is not going to aser on Chatzar B. He doesn't generally use the door that goes to Chatzar B. He's not really considered a resident of Chatzar B. So if he's objecting that he doesn't want to join the Chatzar, why the Eruv Chaseris of Chatzar B? Why is his wife allowed to do it against his will? Explains the Mishnah Berurah, Atam Mishum Darkei Shalom. Since in previous years he always contributed to the Erev Chatzar B, Lachein Chala Erev B'chol Gavni Umutar Achakach Letaltal Kelim Sheshasu Bebeisai LeChatzar Zeh. Because of Darkei Shalom, we don't want to have a situation where, someone's going to look at the Erev and say, wow, we seem to have one less contribution than we do every year. Oh, Ruvain, Ruvain's really part of Chatzar A, even though for 10 years he's been contributing to our Eruv Chatzeris too. This year he decided he doesn't want to. Machlokes, we're not interested in machlokes. The wife could do it without his knowledge, even against his will. Okay, let's go weiter. Bottom line, middle of the line, right by the Ois Cut and Vav for the Mishnah Berurah says the Mechaber, Aval Eini Yechayla Lazakos Mishaloi La'acherim Shaloi Biyadiyasai. But while it's true that in many of these cases the wife could make a contribution to the Eruv Chatzeros, all she's allowed to do is make their home's contribution to the Eruv Chatzeros. She cannot go ahead, pick up a box of matzah, and say, I'm being mezaka the matzah, I'm being mezaka the pas to all of the Bnei HaChatzar, and I'm making the Eruv Chatzeros. That she cannot do without her husband's knowledge, certainly not against her husband's will. So, just to reiterate, because I think I mentioned only 3 cases, there's really 4 cases here. So again, case number 1, I have some notes over here. Case number 1 was the very simple case. Case number 1 is where the house is opened only onto one chutzner. So this is unit number 10 in a chutzner that has 21 units. That's a basic case of Eruv Chatzeros. If this home does not contribute to the Eruv Chatzeros of this chutzner, he's going to aser on the entire chutzner. In such a case, the wife is allowed to contribute to the Eruv Chatzeros, not only without her husband's knowledge, even against her husband's expressed desires. She could do it against his will. Case number 2, house opens onto 2 chatzeros. One chatzer he uses all the time. The other chatzer he doesn't really use. In that case, the halacha is he would aser on the first chatzer. So the first chatzer is the same halacha as halacha number 1. His wife could contribute to the eruv of chatzer number 1 even against his express wishes, because again he would aser on chatzer number 1. How about Chatzar number 2? Chatzar number 2 depends. If he has previously been in the habit of contributing to the Erev of Chatzar number 2, why would he do that? Because it gives him the luxury of transferring from his house to Chatzar number 2, from Chatzar number 2 to his house, or from his house to any of the other houses in Chatzar number 2. In that case, again, his wife is allowed to contribute to the Erev without his knowledge, even against his will, because of Darkei Shalom. However, if he doesn't use Chatzar number 2, so he doesn't aser on Chatzar number 2, and he's never been in the habit of contributing to Chatzar number 2, then the wife cannot contribute to the Erev of Chatzar number 2. Okay. Well, actually, I think I just misspoke, right? I think, according to my notes, in that last case, if he doesn't aser on Chatzar number 2, and he's not rugil, I'm sorry. In the last case, in the case where he doesn't usually use Chatzar number 2, and he's not in the habit of contributing to the Erev of Chatzar number 2, the wife could contribute to the Erev of Chatzar number 2 without the husband's knowledge, but not bal karchai, not if the husband stated expressly that he doesn't want to give to the Erev, then she cannot. And then we saw the halacha over here that while you have many cases over here where the woman could make the contribution to the Erev, the woman could never be the one to go take all the pas for the whole chutzner from her husband's assets and go be mezakeh the pas to everybody in order to create the Erev. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ois katan vav. Aval eini chayla haynu afilu b'nei chaser shayisr aleim v'ragil la'arev imahem. She could never go ahead and do the zikui. She can't take the husband's pas and be mezakeh to everybody, even in the most basic case where his house asers on the rest of the b'nei chaser. She still can't take his pas, be mezakeh to all the b'nei chaser and make an erev. Ois katan zayil lazakes mishaloi umi mizoy noisea yechayla lazakeh shehi shalah. But if she has her own flour and she wants to bake a batch of challah and she wants to take a challah and she wants to be mezakeh the challah to all the b'nei chaser and make an erev out of her own assets, that she could do. Okay. Now let's go weiter. Top line, Reish Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. Says the Mechaber, V'im ein habal v'ha'isha be'ir. Let's say husband and wife went on vacation. Nobody's home. And not nobody's home. Neither the husband nor the wife are home. And maybe the kids are home. And now somebody's going around collecting for the Eruv Chatzeros. So you don't have the husband. You don't have the wife. You have the Bnei Abayis. That's what you have. But you don't have the husband or the wife. Says the Mechaber, Ve'ein habal v'isha be'ir. If neither the husband or the wife are present in the city, they're not home, they're away, Yechayel b'nei abayis la'arev, then the other b'nei abayis could make the contribution to the Erev, shaloi b'diyasai, without the knowledge of the Baal Abayis. But we're going to see, not against his will. They could do it without his knowledge, but not against his will. Im ein abayis pasuach elo l'chotzer echad. Certainly they could do this in the most basic case, where the house only opens up onto one chotzer, so he would aser on the chotzer. And in case number 2, where the house opens up to 2 chatzeros, they certainly could contribute to the eruv chatzeros of chotzer number 1 that the Baal Abayis typically uses, because again, absent his contribution, he'll aser on the rest of the bnei chotzer. So the Bnei Abayis could go ahead and they could contribute to the Erev Shalom Midaitoi. Aval im einoi ragil loy. But in the chotzer that he doesn't typically use, then not. Then he can't. Then the Bnei Abayis cannot contribute. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ois katan ches. That was going back on the halacha that the woman cannot use the husband's pas to be mezakeh to the rest of the bnei chotzer. She cannot do so if the husband doesn't know about it. Then the bnei abayis could go ahead and contribute to the erev without the knowledge of the father, of the husband, of the Baal Abayis, if he's not around, if it's a case where he would aser on the rest of the chotzer. However, in this case, where we're not talking about a wife, we're talking about bnei bayis. In this case, if they heard from the Baal Abayis previously that he objects to being part of the erev, even though he never told them, he never instructed them, don't give to the erev, but they heard about him talking about the erev, and he said, I don't really want to be part of the erev. In that case, the bnei abayis cannot contribute to the erev. When the house opens up onto one chotzer, over here you don't have ishtoi kegufa. You're not dealing with a wife. You're dealing with bnei abayis. So the question is, how do the bnei abayis have the authority to contribute to the erev on behalf of the Baal Abayis? When it's a wife, ishtoi kegufa. But over here you're not dealing with a wife. So what authority do they have? Explains the Mishnah Berurah, because this is zachin la'adam shaloi b'fanav. When you're dealing with a case where this fellow is unit number 10, if he doesn't contribute to the Eruv Chatzeros, there is no Eruv Chatzeros, so it's chus. So it's a benefit for him that they should contribute to the erev on his behalf. There's no reason to think that he would be makbid, so zachin la'adam shaloi b'fanav. Avalim pasuach l'shtei chatzeros. But once you get into a case where the house opens up onto 2 chatzeros, then the bnei abayis cannot contribute to the erev on his behalf, because we don't know for sure that what you're doing for the Baal Abayis is a schus. Ki shema lo yachbitz la'arev im chatzer zu, ela im zu, im loy kedem asayim ha'mechaber. Unless you know that he wants to join the Erev on one side. If you know that he always joins the Erev of Chatzer A, so then the Bnei Abayis could join the Eruv Chatzeres of Chatzer A, because he always does it, so fine. But if he doesn't always join one of the two Eruvin, then the Bnei Abayis cannot contribute to the Erev, because they don't know for sure that what they're doing is considered a schus. Okay. Ois Katan Yud Aleph. If the house opens up to two chatzeros, if he's rugged to join one of them, then the Bnei Abayis can do it without his knowledge. Because you have the right to assume that if for the last 10 years he's been joining the Ruva Chatzeris of Chatzerei, Mistama, he wants to do it now too, and it's a schus. Ois Katan Yud Beis. We're not up to that yet. Okay, third line down near the end of the line says the Mechaber. All right, so we dealt with the wife, we dealt with the Bnei Abayis. Now, what happens if everybody's on vacation? So unit number 10, nobody home. Not the husband, not the wife, not the kids, empty, vacant. But the door is unlocked. Could you go in, take pass from the home, add it to the Erev, and consider that unit number 10 is now joined in the Yeruva Chatzeros? Says the Mechaber, Ava b'nei hachatzer ein yichayim likach pitoi mibeisai la'arev shaloi midas. Ava b'nei hachatzer ein yichayim likach pitoi mibeisai la'arev shaloi midas echad b'nei abayis. The b'nei hachatzer can't go into unit number 10 and just take pass and add it to the Erev. They can't do this without having the das of either the husband or the wife or echad b'nei abayis. They can't just go ahead and act unilaterally. Afilu ragel imam v'oiser aleim. And that's true even if the owner of unit number 10 always joined the Erev, and even if it's the most basic case where without unit number 10 joining the Erev, there is no Eruv Chatzeros. So now you're not going to have any Eruv Chatzeros. It doesn't matter. For the Bnei Achotzer to go ahead and do it without the das of the husband, without the das of the wife, without the das of the Bnei Abayis, that you can't do. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Yud Beis Shaloi B'das Echad B'Bnei Abayis, Ritzono Lomar Shaloi B'Yedias Echad B'Bnei Abayis. Di Haya B'Yediasam Haya Mutter Kol Zman Shaloi Shamu MiBal Abayis She'eino Roitze Be'erev. If the Bnei Abayis were aware of it, then it would be okay, unless we know that the owner objects. The Biur Halacha brings from any Akrainim that they dispute this halacha. They paskin the Bnei Achotzer that the Bnei Achotzer could take pass from unit number 10 even without anybody's knowledge. So long as they're not aware that he objects. Without anybody knowing. And I believe this is again based on the rule of Zaken La'adam Shaloi B'fanav. There's no reason to assume that this is not a schus for the owner of unit number 10. And therefore these poskim say, and you can see more detail in the Biur Halacha, that yes, the Bnei Achotzer could go take pass even without the knowledge of even the Bnei Bayis. Okay. Weiter, fourth line down, last word on the line, says the Mechaber. But there is a more stringent opinion. There is a shita that says, this is the Rambam, that a wife can never go ahead and contribute to an Erev against the will of the husband. She could contribute to the Erev without her husband's knowledge. But if the husband said he doesn't want to join the Erev, the wife is powerless. The wife cannot go ahead and contribute to the Erev. Says the Mishnah Berurah, even in the most basic case, where without this house, there's going to be no Eruv Chatzeros. The house is only opened onto one Chatzer, and the Aser is on them. He's going to Aser on them by not joining the Erev. The wife cannot go ahead and give a contribution to the Erev. Now, does that mean that the Bnei Achotzer are up the creek without a paddle? This guy said he doesn't want to join the Erev. The Rambam says the wife can't go ahead and make a contribution against the husband's will. So now what? Now they're stuck and they can't be in a Eruv Chatzeros? Says the Mechaber, no. Let's say for 5 years this guy's been contributing to the Erev, and now he says he doesn't want to. So first of all, in that case, in that case, The Bnei HaChotzer could take from him against his will. For 5 years you've been part of the Erev, now you're insisting you don't want to be part of the Erev, they could take from him against his will. V'emeina ragel, and if he never took part in the Erev, einam yechalim litam yimenu bal karchai, they can't take from him against his will, aval hayu kaifen oisei bebezdin la'arev imayim. But they could go to Bezdin, and Bezdin will force him to contribute to the Erev, ay hayu bezdin yerdin l'nechasav. Or, if Bezdin can't force him to comply, and they can't force him to make a contribution, Bezdin will go and physically take it from him. Okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ois Katan. Yodalud la'ariv yibam, v'afilu amar kein la'achar she'erva, nispata liruva l'mafreya. We said that the wife, if the husband says that he doesn't want to join the Erev, the wife can't go ahead and contribute. Says the Mishnah Berurah, and if the wife did go ahead and contribute to the Erev, and the husband finds out about it and says, I told her not to, I don't want to be part of the Erev is going to be bottled. Ois Kantes Vav, B'nei Chotzer, if the homeowner was in the habit of contributing to this Erev previously, now he says he doesn't want to, so then the Mechaber said the B'nei Chotzer could go and take from him. And certainly his wife could go do it. Over here we're talking about a case where if he doesn't contribute to the Erev, he will answer the entire Chotzer. You can take him to Bezdin, and Bezdin will force him into compliance. Even though the Mechaber is saying that the Bnei HaChotzer cannot go and take from him against his will, Bezdin but Bezdin will force him into compliance. V'din zed the Bezdin kaifen hu l'kol yalma af l'dei rishayna. Is cut yuzayin yardin l'nechasav, or Bezdin will actually take from him. V'oisid shitov, and they will join him into a shutfis. They'll join him into an eruve chatzeros. Says the Ramah, finally, Hagah, Misha Eina Ragel Arev, somebody who was never in the habit of contributing to the Erev. The Erev B'nei HaChotzer, and then he did join the Erev. The Chazer Me'eruvai, and then after contributing to the Erev, he said, I changed my mind. I don't want to be part of the Erev. Tzarech Lachzer V'Lizkais. The Mishnah Berurah is going to say what that means is, once he made a statement that he no longer wants to be part of the Erev, he has to make a new verbal statement saying, no, I really am part of the Erev. I do want to be part of the Erev. So it doesn't mean exactly as it's written here. Tzarech lachzor v'lizkos. You don't have to go ahead and do the Erev over again and be bezakel l'chol b'nei HaChotzer over again. No, it's just, since this fellow never contributed to the Erev before, and now he contributed for the first time, his contribution is sort of weak. So if he turns around and he says, now you really don't want to be part of it, you got to have a do-over. He's got to say verbally that, no, he does want to be part of it. Avalim ragel arev have an Erev bal karchai, but if he was ragel to be part of the Erev, then it's an Erev despite what he said. Says the Mishnah Berurah, I changed my mind about the Erev. I no longer want to be part of it. Because in such a case, says the Mishnah Berurah, the Erev is bottle, even though the lechem is still sitting in unit number 15, where they chose to put the Erev. The pas is still there, but the Erev is bottle anyway. He has to rejoin, meaning he has to make a new verbal statement. But if he was ruggled to be part of the Erev, then it's an Erev despite what he said. He can't be mavatal the Erev. If for all the years he's been part of the Erev, and he gave again this year, he can't be mavatal it. We saw earlier that if somebody was in the habit of contributing to the Erev, and now he says he doesn't want to, the Bnei HaChotzer could actually go take it from him. Certainly in this case, where they don't have to go take it from him, because it's sitting by the Erev in unit number 15, certainly he doesn't have the right to be mevatel the Erev. According to the first opinion, where we saw that the Bnei HaChotzer can't do anything without the knowledge of at least the wife of the Bnei Abayis, Hacha kila over here, it's more kalb, nesha pask farmunach tachas yadam, because the Erev was already made, and the shutfis is already there, and this person's pas is already part of the Erev. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. The source of limud HaTorah should be megan against Klal Yisrael. The Baruch Hashem should send Yeshua's refuahs parnasos sheduchim tolos in need. We should be zeicher to see the Bias God Tzedek b'meherav yameinu. Amen. Be well.